Call to order the Groveland Township regular board meeting for October 10th, 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Laura, would you take the roll call, please?
Yes. Robert DePalma.
Here.
Janelle Keller. Here. Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Here. Okay. First on the items on the agenda is to approve the October 10th agenda, and I do have one change I would like to make to it based on some calls I had when I left the office and was home on my cell phone. I would like to add an item D under new business, discuss WIC's housing consideration. I'll fill you in on it. It's an acronym. What is it? Women, infant, and children?
So I assume
I-
item E.
Yeah, discuss WIC's housing possibility. I'll let you know what it, I got the call while I was
Okay.
actually sitting in the tub soaking.
Yeah, that's a great way to work.
So, other than that, I'm good with the agenda as submitted unless anybody else has any other questions. If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll second, supporting the agenda as amended.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. And also, we now have to approve the minutes from the September 11th Township and the September 11th Fire Board meetings. And I had, let's see, this one last. I didn't have any on those, I didn't have any questions on those, I'll get with those.
I just have one change, and that is, the attendance, is correct on the, September 11th, board meeting minutes, and it needs to be changed on fire board meeting minutes.
Oh,
Okay,
Okay. But that's it.
any others? If not, a motion would be in order to approve as submitted with the one change indicated.
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular board minutes from September 11th and the fire board minutes from September 11th with the correction of the one member who was excused absent.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, by Gina, any other questions or comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now the October 2nd minutes. I do have a correction, I think, on that one. On page 1 of the special meeting for the township, it says under the first bullet point on A, the distance between the building was changed from 10 feet to 5 feet. It was, but then in that subsequent meeting, we changed it back. And so it wasn't due to fire safety. I think it should just say it was changed from 10 feet to 5 feet, which is what Danielle was recapping for us.
So, I was confused on that too, because the way this reads, it made me, I was confused, like, what is it supposed to read? But then in this
That correct?
addendum, I'm to assume that it is to change back to 10 feet.
Yes.
And it says here that's due to fire safety.
Right.
Yes.
But, okay, so it's going to be back to 10 feet.
Planner had put it in at 5, but then we discussed it and it should have been left at 10, which is what it was. So I think this first line on the first page should just say the distance between the building was changed from 10 feet to 5 feet. Leave out the part that says due to fire safety, because that's really the reason on the addendum that we put it back to 10.
So are these bullet items, these 5 things are, the things that are wrong, or the things that
Well,
are?
it was her summary of what it is, and the other one that's wrong on number 2, where it says 50% of the principal building's gross floor area, then barns are unlimited. I think that's misleading the way it's stated.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 50% of the accessory building. The fact that barns could be bigger up there in the back is a completely different thing. So I again think that statement, barns are unlimited, should be crossed out.
Crossed off.
The rest of it looks okay to me.
It may be helpful, just
in the motion, cause I think we did discuss it during the meeting. There was motion to make changes necessary, it may just be helpful to say Bill's motion to make changes as noticed in the building,
Oh, yeah.
attached building document or something along those
Okay.
lines.
I think
Okay,
so.
sounds
Cause that was
good.
actually
That's
how
fair.
we,
And
I think-
Danielle did, or someone
had
said,
interpreted it, yeah.
Yeah.
she said that she would just provide this.
Yeah, exactly, so I think
I'm good
that,
with that.
and that would kinda clarify all of it too.
Yeah, cause it's hard to get all those captured.
And the second page, the addendum to it, I thought was fine though.
Exactly.
So I
So
agree.
if we just refer to that, then,
As
Right.
noted,
That'll
as
kind of-
noted, okay.
yes.
Okay.
All
So
right.
instead of necessary to, just as noted in the,
As noted to the, so change the word necessary to as noted.
yes, in the
Okay.
attached document or something.
So, did somebody make a motion? Or do you want to?
Sure, I sure did. I will motion to approve the October 2nd special meeting minutes with the changes as discussed.
Okay, and is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
By Jim, okay. Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Approved, so now. Now we move to financials, and the first item on there is budget amendments. Do we have any?
Yes, we do. Here, I'm gonna have you look at those right there if you need to. I did print them out. So, these were some notes that were actually left for me, but, I would like to motion to move from our fund balance out of 401-000-390-000, and Laura, I can give this to you, don't worry. $145,613.50, and that's actually gonna go in 3 different, areas. $140,000 will be moved into road improvements for spreading of gravel. $2,543.50 will be moved into planning consultants, for the survey for Warden Road.
I think was that not actually the survey for consolidating the parcels together that Danielle did?
I'm not sure, these were notes that I had.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that was for filing.
I think so, too,
We had
survey
Dave
work.
Wardine write up a new description, take all the pieces the township owns and put them into one, and it really wasn't for the road. It was to get it filed as one consolidated piece for the site condo document.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, no, this wasn't in your, I just brought this because,
That'll be fine.
that's why you haven't seen it, cause I just brought it. And
The other one's
then
for audit.
the other one is $3,070 for the audit, so to go into audit and legal for our audit.
Okay.
And that's all I have for budget amendments.
Is that your motion then?
That is my motion.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
By Gina, okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, Laura, would you take a roll call on it, please?
DePalma,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes?
Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's all right. You can just say Gina, it's really.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will.
Okay. Next is accounts payable.
All right, so we have in, general account, we had $194,466.04. In building, $1,908.10. So total for both of those funds is $196,374.14. In 206, our fire fund, we had $24,862.66. And in trust and agency, we have $11,020.
So, I just wanted to point out a couple things on these, because I know the trustees are not always, they don't know what all these things are if they're unusual. So on the first page of the general, where it says, the very first one is to Groveland Township for $95,380. That actually was just moving money from, our Chase checking account over to the state bank tax account, because that was summer tax money from levy for American Aggregates and Burroughs Properties. I have asked them in the past, please don't deposit the money into Chase, please deposit it directly into State Bank where the tax account is. But it's a multi-step process, and I finally was able to talk to the multiple people necessary to make the process happen. And so with that, they also had given $21,586 of tax money that was from a different municipality. A line item where I'm like, I don't have this tax bill. So at any rate, those are not our usual bills, right? So that was tax money that Levy paid, and we just had to transfer it to a different bank.
So this wasn't really a payment,
No.
it was moving it from one
It
account
was,
to the other?
yes, because they deposited it into our Chase account and it had to go over to the state account. So those two are just tax money, and so I wanted you to, kinda know that, because those are big things that could be like, what was this, right?
Okay.
I think that was pretty much it, and then the trust and agency check was for, you can see it's Barry Bass's, things, he just chose to take it out of his escrow to pay those things that the township had, to cover for, I think it was legal things, wasn't it?
I think it was site
Certain
plan.
site
and
plans
recycling.
Site plan.
Oh, yeah, you had to send
Yeah.
some money in,
Sand and
to
recycling.
Danielle
Right.
for
Yep,
the site plan review.
exactly.
Okay?
So, yes, my motion would be to approve those as submitted, unless you have questions.
Second, any other questions or comments from the board?
Thank you.
If not, would you take a roll call comment, please?
Gina,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes,
Janelle,
Yes.
Robert.
Yes. We actually did the reports for general fire. and building.
well, yeah. So,
Yes, so the only other thing,
financial reports are, they were in the packet
Yeah.
before
Right.
accounts payable, but
I
listed
had
here after.
one other, question, what was this for?
That was for site plan reviews.
Oh, okay,
That's
that's the
what
one we
just-
just did, okay.
yeah.
That's why I have a note on it, okay, thank you. Okay, so we're done.
Well, we
we didn't
did we do
officially look at
revenue
revenue and expense, so if you have any
I'm sorry, on the
questions,
first one.
On that?
No,
then I would motion to approve those as well.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
no.
If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay. Now, Teresa, the
Okay.
investment report?
So the investment report, I have a little asterisk at the bottom because Oakland County Local Government Investment Pool had not sent their, things, my statements, to us. So I guess the easy way to know is if I round to the nearest dollar and you see 0 zeros at the ends of, the public funds, those are not including every single thing, they're probably 90% complete. So because I can't control when they send me those statements, sometimes I just have to report the totals without it.
So that would be, that number actually would, if
It
it
would
had
be,
all of it in time, it
yeah.
would be a little bit larger.
A little bit,
Right.
probably another $600, okay?
Okay. The numbers look great to me.
Yep, interest rates are still at, 5.5% and so on.
Yeah, those are good rates, see how long it's holding.
Teresa,
Yes,
if you could hazard a guess, what do we get in interest income a month?
well, total, like the whole thing,
Yeah.
about, I'm gonna say 60,000, 50 to 60, 50 to 60,000.
Thanks.
It's way up.
Yeah.
It is.
Interest
Yeah.
rates have gone up, but I noticed on the news this afternoon that the bonds are starting to drop because, the stocks are going up and the bonds are going down because so many people are buying treasuries overseas, I guess, because of the, turmoil in the east. Okay, next item would be presentations, but we don't have any for today. Public hearings, we don't have any for today, and unfinished business, we don't have any for today. So we'll move right to new business. The first item is to discuss the SISMA. I think you all have a copy of the letter that, our coordinator sent us. And she's asking, do we wanna have somebody come to the board, or do we wanna have just get the information, the answer to the questions you had before, so that's why I passed it around. Is there a preference to what anybody wants?
I don't,
think you want to clean up.
yeah, I don't know. No, yeah.
I was thinking the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing.
I don't feel the need for them to be here, but I really want to know where they plan on applying and when, and in a timely manner.
Okay, do you wanna, I'm just asking,
Sure,
do you
sure.
want me to have her come in, or have somebody come in?
His
Or do
letter
you-
says that he can do it virtually.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
well, I mean, all
right now, I know that the timing is critical, so what I want is, and I did email him after Alicia gave us this
Oh, you did?
information. I didn't get any response, and cause that's really what I want. I wanted a clarification that that map of all yellow was
Yeah.
really not.
cause it didn't look
Yeah.
right.
No, but where are they planning on doing this and when? That's.
He never got back, do you, I'm just asking,
Right,
do you
right, and
wanna
I
call Alicia to get that directly?
Yeah, I
for her?
can
Okay.
go back
If you
through
don't have her
Alicia.
number, I got it.
Oh yeah, I have Alicia's number, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that agreeable with everybody else?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, but I will make sure that it gets sent to everyone,
Yeah, just
because that
bump
really
it
should
around.
be, in my opinion, should be on our website, it should be on our sign.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
you can make a choice to not have them in front of your house.
Mhm.
Well, then this information
Right.
about herbicide use in natural areas,
Mm-hmm.
is 3 years old
Right,
and contains safety data that is 7 or 8, up. From 2015, they're saying that it's safe. From 2018, they're saying that it doesn't pose any significant risk.
and
That's
that's
just
not
simply
accurate
not true.
information. Right.
But they've updated this and they do state that their natural resources will continue to reference the best available science and update its policies as necessary. So my question would be, if this is the most recent updates?
I'll just sum it this way, I have complete confidence that Gina will get to the bottom of it and get us the answer.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they still have on their website, you cut everything down and you put a single drop on each plant, and we know that is not how they do it themselves, so, but yeah, I will speak with Alicia and at least get the mapping and the when and where information, and then I noticed, before last month too, one of my other questions was they're using 3 different companies.
Oh,
And
do they
each
communicate to all of them?
Right, but each company was using something different,
Oh,
so yeah.
okay. Like I
Okay.
said, in complete
Sure.
faith, you're gonna get us the answer,
Mhm.
I know you will. The next item is just really an FYI to bring you up to date on the parking lot, as you know, we hired Ally, which was slightly more than the other bids, because it did such a nice job on Barron Road. And they did,
And the library.
and the library, and they did, I think, the worst blacktop job I or anybody else has ever seen out here. And they actually thought we were gonna accept it. So they came out, and Janelle was with me, and when they got all done talking about it with the guy he brought out there, I said, well, that's great, but I'm not paying for any of this. This is the worst I've ever seen, I'm not paying for any of it. And, he said, well, I guess that's the way it is, and I think was what he did, he left, and I said, well, that's good, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be getting it over in the spring or something.
Yeah.
He came back last week, and Janelle and I met with him and another individual who was more accommodating, let's say. And he said, here's what I'm proposing we'll do. He said, that some of the base under here is bad, but we would have to take a huge amount more out, which prompted us to think, why didn't you tell us that at the time? Which he acknowledged, we should have come to you and said that, and they didn't, okay? So, he said, here's what I'm proposing. Where we go, where the sidewalk slopes down at the curb, to go out by our front door, and that little walk at the end of the here, and the walk on the other side at the lower level, and where it meets the 2 aprons coming in from Grange Hall Road. He's going to mill down the 1.5 inch asphalt that's on it and taper it back, so that the water still flows the correct way. And I told him he's gotta make sure the water here at this walkway end doesn't puddle up at the bottom, because I don't want ice there all winter. He said, yeah, we'll do that. And then he's going to put a new 1.5 inch over the entire parking lot and restraight it. And I said, all right, if you do that, we'll pay you that. He says, well, this was the last week.
Yeah, last week.
He said, there's only 6 more weeks left until they close the asphalt plant for the year. And I knew they closed it sometime in November, so he said, I'm
I'm not sure which weekend, but we will come on a Friday and Saturday and mill out those sections, and if you notice where you're walking, he's got mill written on there. And take those out and then put the 1.5 inches over the whole thing and do it right, so it should look good, and they said, then we'll pay you. So I think, while it's probably not the perfect solution, it should look good, and I'm kinda guessing with the rest of the asphalt being basically 2.5 inch lifts on it, it should probably hold up a little bit better, I would think. It may not be perfect, but I think it's gonna be the best we can do, short of what he says would be is ripping the entire thing out, and a huge amount of money, and I find it hard to believe, because we've had the parking lot done, I think, at least twice. When I came here originally, when I moved out here, the parking lot was only paved from that driveway to where the park starts. The rest was all gravel. Then they went and they had the rest of it paved. And then I know we had it paved once before when I hadn't been here that long. And so, all of those worked pretty well until they did this horrendous job. So I think that's a pretty good solution. I just wanted to let everybody know. Janelle and I talked, and we thought that was pretty good to get through.
I have not received an email on that. I know we closed the office the Monday after we had it done. Do we intend on doing that again?
I think we will, depending on what they tell us. The problem is the asphalt goes down about 300 degrees. And so if it's a hot day out, it takes 2 or 3 days, I guess, for it to
It must
completely
be warm.
cool. I'm guessing it's gonna be cooler by the time they do it, so we'll ask them when they do it. Okay, but we might have to. Next item is discuss the mailboxes. The old brown box that we use out here that got knocked over by one or two of the residents over time, and really doesn't work that well. We decided, we received a box for taking ballots going forward that we have to get installed. And it's nice, it's all 100% stainless steel on a nice pedestal. You put a small pad of cement down with 4 expanding anchors in it, and you bolt it down. We decided we're gonna put it over just after you turn the corner on the parking lot there past the sidewalk, so that people can pull in and drop their ballot boxes in there. And that same company makes a very similar mailbox out of stainless steel. So we don't have to paint it like the other one, and it actually looks more like a mailbox. And so we ordered that, and when that comes,
I'm pretty sure it's right in our entryway right now.
oh, right,
You can already pay it,
Okay.
yeah.
We're gonna have that put in at the same time we have the ballot box put in, so they'll both be stainless steel, they won't need any maintenance. And we'll put it back over there roughly where the other one is and get rid of that one that's been run over a couple of times.
Oh, I was thinking
You
you were
put
gonna
it
say
next to
you're
the
gonna
ballot
put it
box.
over there,
No?
but
I
would
thought
that
about
be too
it.
confusing?
I'm just afraid somebody might get confused about it, so I thought if we put the mail over here, that one stands out by itself with those vote here stickers or whatever it is, it's all over it. We talked about it after a while, but thought maybe we better leave them separate.
Okay.
So I just wanted you to know that that's in the mill. As soon as we get, some price on what we're doing on the walkway, Angela found a new company just on M15 that does that hydraulic lifting of the cement where it's down here. They're coming out, I think, tomorrow in the
Is it
afternoon.
tomorrow?
Yeah, I think Wednesday afternoon, something like 3 o'clock. If we get that done, then I'll have to we gotta find a handyman or something to pour 2 little pads for us to put those 2 mailboxes in. If not, we have to end up taking that slab out again, which I hate to do. Then we'll have, whenever they fix the other 2 mailboxes at the same time.
You need a slab or a post, Bonnie?
Well, they have both kind, and we thought we'd put them on slabs. 'Cause
I meant a cement post, like put
Oh,
a tube in there and just put your 4 anchors in it.
Oh, yeah.
No, the anchors are kind of far out on the bases that are in there, so you really need a pad about that big, roughly, because I think they were spread out farther.
How deep are you gonna put that?
The cement pad, just 4 inches, it's just enough, I think, so that it's holding the box up. Yeah, but I don't think anybody's, you know
I'm talking
what?
about snow and ice.
Oh, I think it'll be less prone to being knocked over, and if it is, without being ruined anyway. Because the problem here is when remember that one time an elderly gentleman came in there and he backed into it, and he felt terrible because he sheared it off at the ground. And then we had to have Barry come out
We
with his
still have
portable
that.
welder.
We do, we have that.
We still have that one, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're collecting these. They're gonna be heirlooms. You're gonna see them on American Pickers. So I think if we put it on a pedestal, I don't think they're gonna knock it over with a plow, because it's got
the pole itself's about 4 inches.
Depends if I'm plowing or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's plowing?
Well, I tell you what, when we're ready to do it, you come on over and tell us if you want it moved a little farther back, okay? All right, so that's the mailbox issue, just so you know. The last thing on the original agenda was discuss community development block grant, and I see somebody gave us a sheet here.
Yeah, so this is more just for informational purposes,
We
next
ain't
month.
getting peanuts.
Yeah, no, well, and so we have traditionally just gone back and forth between Haven and then the mobile home repair. Next month we will have a public hearing on it, so we can actually make decisions, but I did wanna provide you this, in case the board wanted to do anything different. If not, that's fine, this year would be the mobile home repair. Just so you know, and I did include information for both of these, and I thought this was so sad, but maybe this is how it ends up for all of them. On the mobile home repair information at the very bottom, it shows the administrative costs. It actually says 15%, it's 20%. So 20%
Of
of
the
these
7,500
funds,
has to go?
$1,400, over $1,400 goes
To them?
Okay.
to them. So, which is
Deal
fine,
with the
this is
road
what,
commission.
this is what we've done, and I'm okay with it, you know, this will be up to the board, we can talk about it next month, but I just wanted
Well-
to give you information for both of those in case.
This was interesting, so thank you.
And then also these, yes.
Yeah.
But I looked, and the only two things that I even thought out of all of these that would be enough to maybe do something is if we wanted to use it for clearing demolition on that house.
Oh, oh.
Yes.
What's the name of the lady?
So any
Who's
type,
that Dave?
Oh.
On Johnson Road.
Dryer, the one we got burned.
Dyer.
Dyer, I'm sorry.
fire, oh, I threw the R in there.
For that, and I, you know, that would be one, and in the past, we've talked about trying to do it for fire equipment, but when you submitted for fire equipment in the past, Patty always said it had to be proved that the fire station you were doing it for was in the low to moderate income. And when they did the last census, I don't think any of us qualified for low to moderate income. So those are the only other two things. We've basically, just so you know, we've always done whatever the clerk
Right.
tells us, right? And I'm good with that.
Well, you know, you have some information here.
Right.
This is not everything, you know, if you read the top there, it says if there are other activities that are not listed here, we can figure out if they're eligible, so I guess probably the biggest thing would be just email me if you see something that you think may be interesting, I can get some more information about it and we can bring it to the board next month.
So next month is the hearing.
Next
in
month
which
we
you're
will have
going-
the public hearing.
We have to make the decision of where it's going. So-
Correct, because these are due, the applications are due December 1st.
So,
So like BGYA may decide to show and give us.
well, that's what I was
show and
gonna
give us,
say,
yeah.
is that Bob MacArthur would like to approach
Yeah.
the board and ask for some money. He claims that, we can use our CDBG funds for Brandon School students. We can also use them for Holly School students, but Brandon happens to have a person who works at the district, Rachel Davis, who handles all the paperwork. And so, it's complicated paperwork. I don't know of an equivalent person to that, you know, position over in Holly.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, because I know, do you still have to do, like, if you're gonna split it up, you have a minimum you need to give to one versus the
Yes.
other?
And because we have such limited funds, we are kind of pigeonholed into one.
Okay, so we don't have enough to actually split it and still meet the criteria for the minimum to give to a particular.
I could look,
I think the
We're
minimum
only
is
gonna have,
5,000.
what,
but I
6,100 after you take out the administrative?
Yeah, I
right?
think the
Yeah.
minimum is 5,000.
so they estimated, they actually are estimating less than last year, I believe, I'd have to go back and read it again. But I think their estimate
I
was,
think it was more last year.
yeah, it's around $7,000, it might be a few $100s more.
Okay.
But it'll be around 7, and then depending on the organization, they can ask for up to 20% for administrative costs. So, that was actually in discussing that with them, that's an error in information that they've been providing to people, but
Okay.
that's a
So
separate.
next year, next year, next.
So next month we'll talk about it, but know that if you have ideas or if there's something in there that you want me to look into, send it my way so that I can find out before next
This
month.
was an excellent job by you on your first meeting as clerk. Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks.
Okay, the last item is the one I wanted to ask to discuss, which when I was home after I left the office, I had several calls, and one of them was from the Chamber of Commerce. And the building that they're in, the old Richter
school building that they're in is being sold or remodeled or something, and they all have to get out of it by January. So WICS, which is for women, infants, and children, is in that building. They have 2 small offices and a little kind of reception area. And he said they put him in there when they kicked him out of the church or something a couple of years ago for whatever reason. And he said they need someplace to go in January. And I said, are you talking temporarily or permanently? He said, well, temporarily, like probably 2 years. So he asked if our lower level was available, and I said, I don't know, we use it for elections. And so I don't, but that's you now have the full extent of the conversation I had with him. So I just told him I would get back to him after the board discussed it. Does anybody think we can even do that, or will it
I
kind of
don't-
bollocks up the elections?
I don't think, well, it's not even just elections. I don't know that we can really accommodate them properly because there's counseling that goes on. There's a lot of different things that go on with WIC because there's education, there is, people have to qualify.
Yeah, I don't
There's
wanna
HIPAA
build any
laws,
offices
there's
down there.
a whole, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that we even have a setup that they would be able to legally use.
Okay.
Who was asking you?
Richard, the
Oh, okay.
chairman, president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's the DDA
Okay.
too. And car show and a ton of other things. Killing it, yeah.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we actually could.
So.
This might not be a very convenient location for all of
Well,
those
surprisingly, he
people.
said they checked and they do have people
Oh,
that they
yeah.
service that are out of Ortonville.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
that are out
Yeah,
there.
I was surprised to hear that.
So it's
That's
not just a
everything I thought.
Holly thing?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
No, it's.
Well, I mean, if we can't do it, I don't wanna build offices for a temporary
Right.
thing. And I know you need to use it for elections, so you can't put them up and take them down. It's just not that, I don't think there's all that much room down there when you get it.
I don't think so either.
Well, they are also a federal program, so they're gonna be closed when we have election. So that, I don't
Well,
know that
that's
that
not
excuse would be,
necessarily accurate for next year because we will have 30 days of elections downstairs.
People streaming in periodically,
Okay.
right?
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
probably.
I would be more concerned about the, yeah.
You also have a lot of sensitive information stored in.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too.
Well,
And it
I
would-
just didn't wanna say no flat out, so I thought you are better in a position to tell me if you think it would even work down there.
We had an empty office, but.
So they, aren't they
Gina's got a lot of
moving their
space in her
municipal
house.
offices?
Everything's moving out of there. Somebody
They
bought the
don't-
building, I think, and is
They don't
redoing
have a
it.
space in that brand new municipal office, that those?
I guess not
Is
right
that the
away.
Sherman Center? Is that?
Yeah.
No, it's like, across from, the State Bank and, that new Taco Bell.
Oh, where the township office is.
Yeah, the new township office.
Well, I can't imagine if they had room that they didn't do something, cause George had us have one of our supervisors luncheons there to show us the building and
Yeah,
what they had added when it was the tire place and what they were going to do. I mean, they've got several big parking slots in there that, on the part of the building they added to it. There's quite a bit of space in there, but I actually think, if I had to guess, I bet George thinks they'll use most of that office space. And a big piece of that building was really some kind of like drive-through garage for trucks or something. So, I don't know. If we can't, I'll call them tomorrow and tell them we talked about it, we just don't see how it would work.
Yeah, I don't think it's ideal by any means, yeah.
Or put them in one of the bays.
I would really like to think that Richard could have told you, like, exactly what kind of use they would need, you know, like,
Well, he said they have 2 offices right now, that must be where they do the counseling, and then a little like reception area that they use. He was actually thinking maybe they could do it in part of the basement, but again, I think the problem's the same, whether it's part of the basement or all of it. If you're having elections, the other half of the basement's where the bathrooms are for people.
Yeah.
And it's not that big when there's stuff stored in there.
Right.
And so it'd be hard to even fit a couple of offices in there, and like I said, I don't wanna build offices
Right.
just to tear them out 2 years later.
Right.
Okay, I'll tell them we talked about, it, we just don't think it'll work. And also, I probably should mention, I'll know tomorrow for sure, but I don't think car show is going off on Saturday because of all the rain that's forecast. He said said he'd let me know. They're apprehensive not to have it because they've already collected money from some sponsors, like Haunted Mansion, and spent it on advertising and stuff. So, you know, it's kind of a sum game zero, so, we're gonna have to decide. I'll let you know tomorrow, and then we'll have Vinnie put something up on the sign, fill the paper, and I'll call the car club in Clarkston, just to let you know. Okay, moving on from there, we have miscellaneous, Holly Area Youth Assistance Report.
So much like WIC, they will be relocating at some point. Eventually, it sounds like it won't be till fall of 2025, they will be in the new Sherman Campus Administration Building, but, I called there today just to see if they'd made any decisions on that temporary location, and she said no, they're gonna move into the new center in fall of 2025, so I thought, well, I don't really know, it sounds like you're gonna not be there very long, but they didn't have any other information, so, they'll be moving in the future. For last month, they did have a meeting, I don't have any information on it, this was just within the last week. But from last month's meeting, they had, 2 new cases for August and an additional 7, referrals for a total of 68 cases. Something that I did think that was really interesting, and I just wanted to share, maybe you all realize this already, but they provided a monthly report, and from all of the municipalities that they service, which is 6 of them, Groveland, they provide the most help to Groveland residents. It is, our residents have the most number of so most of the residents that they are servicing are from here. I mean, it's only maybe by a few numbers here and there, but we have the largest number of all 6 municipalities that they're providing support to.
Like, as in,
That does surprise me.
how many cases that they're referred, and, wow.
I mean, I have the report if you wanna see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I just thought, oh my gosh, that's fantastic that they, you know, in that. Anyway,
Hyatt Youth Card, okay, so this is from Holly Area Youth. I was thinking all of youth assistance.
oh, no, just
Oh.
Hyatt,
Oh,
just the 6,
Hyatt.
but so they provide
Okay.
services to 6 different municipalities. And of all of those, we have the most,
Groveland Village,
of all of
Holly
them.
Rose, Springfield, White Lake, okay.
Anyway, they are still working on a new website. It is not ready to go live yet. They will be doing a Texas Roadhouse fundraiser in the future. I don't have any dates or information on that, so you can keep your eyes peeled. For the Holly Area Veterans Resource Center, they have a vet-to-vet dinner coming up on October 16th at the American Legion. It is free for veterans and their families. And then they have a Hometown Heroes project, so if we know of anybody, if anybody knows of anybody going into the service or leaving the service, they will organize an event to honor them. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. Thought about you.
That is cool.
And then they do have some Halloween party that's coming up October 28th. That's all I have for Haya.
Okay, thank you. Brandon Groveland Youth.
So, yeah, today was the, board meeting, and, the caseworker did say that there are 5 new cases. One was actually wrapped up and taken off the books, so to speak, I guess. They are still looking for a new student liaison because, the previous one who had served for 2 years, he graduated. He thought he had someone lined up, but that person could not actually do it, so Mr. Stevens, the principal over at the high school, is currently looking for a new student liaison. If you know Mr. Stevens, we just learned today his father passed away Sunday, not unexpectedly, but his father passed away on Sunday, and he's back to work today, so you know, he's a hard worker, that Mr. Stevens. So at any rate, we had a report from the school district, from Carly Stone, that things are going very well this school year. The students are very positive. They've got this new program called PBIS, which I know stands for Positive Behavior it's not intervention, positive behavior, something. I feel terrible now, but,
But it's positive.
it's positive, and it's strategies that, you know, they're teaching specifically, and evidently the student council at the high school is creating lessons to teach, the younger students, and they're going to different buildings, and so they're very excited about that they're noticing a good, positive impact from this program. And, Kaz and his wife Pam, who did the time capsule, you know, that we've been hearing about, it was placed in place on Septemberfest, out in front of the Ortonville Historical Society at the Old Mill. They were able to donate, they said they were gonna split the proceeds, anything that they made above and beyond the expenses was gonna be split 50-50 between BGYA and the Ortonville Historical Society. His goal was to be able to donate $5,000 to each organization. He actually was able to donate $9,233 to each organization.
Wow.
So
Nice.
he was very happy with that. That was a 2-year project that he and his wife put a lot of work into, so we thanked him profusely for that. And then there is a new person in charge of communication. It is not me, but it is Diane Salter. So she is taking over the social media posts for BGYA, and if you would like to stay up to date on what BGYA is doing, please like their Facebook page or see their website. So that's BGYA.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission, Jim?
Yeah, planning commission met, ended last month, and a few things were discussed. There was I'm gonna call it a minor recap of how the Ren Fair did with their parking and other things. The consensus on the board was it was the best it's ever been, which certainly makes me happy. There was also a discussion, and Gina, you might help me with this. There was a discussion that was floated about apparently a number of outbuilding variances requested coming out of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I can tell you, a few years ago, I think no more than 5, the Planning Commission altered that ordinance. And apparently, let me say this, I believe the Planning Commission is gonna look at it again. And what we're finding, and this is where I might need some help, is people are coming into the community, buying, let's say, the minimum 2.5 acre lot, building a small-ish home by square footage, and get caught asking for a variance because they can't build an outbuilding to the size that they would want. And that's dictated by a number of things, and if memory holds me correctly, it's the square footage, the size of the lot.
Location.
Yeah,
Location.
and we need to look at that. I have a little bit of an opinion now, it might be premature, but I think some of this, again, I'm hearing this secondhand, but I think some of it is the result of people moving into the community and perhaps not doing the research that they need to do.
That is it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not taking a real hard line, but at some point in time, you've got to take ownership if you made a poor decision. So it's a little complicated, as you can see. There's emotions involved, logic involved, and that's coming up for discussion. Another thing coming up for discussion is the levying of penalties, most notably as it relates to the Renaissance Festival, and anybody else. What we found in the investigation with the Renaissance Festival is I think the majority, or the most expensive penalty we could levy, I think was $50. So
First violation, I think it gets up to 300,
you know,
but it's peanuts.
yeah, it's peanuts, and so we're gonna look at that. And I do believe that's all that was discussed for my notes.
Just so you know, the variance thing, what we brought up, I asked Danielle to put it on the next meeting. I also asked Danielle to see if we could get a training class for the BZA on
how it's supposed to work.
Mhm.
But she was sick today, so when she gets back in, she'll see if we can get a training class for them on it. But that will bring up some of the issues, I think, that have to be discussed for that sort of thing.
No, I think that'd be great. I want to somewhat parenthetically say, the MTA conference that I went to was wonderful.
Mine was as well.
It really reinforced a lot of things for all of us, let alone trustee. Had a very interesting class. I wish there had been more on it, but how to deal with confrontational meetings, which I think we should all take something on that. I learned that I can't get up and.
I have a recommendation for that. People should serve on the tax board. And they'll have plenty of training on that.
Yeah.
Check.
People should teach eighth grade, then they'll know
There you
exactly
go.
how to handle confrontation.
Actually, Kevin, this evening I had dinner with somebody who works for a planning organization, and he was going to Tyrone Township because they have no solar generation statute, and he said that is turning into quite the,
Teresa got us a sample of that, and we're sending that to the planning commission to take a look at too, before we bring it back to the board for that.
Well, MTA has the sample resolution, I'm sure that's where it originated from, but the whole solar and wind,
Yeah.
is really becoming problematic for a lot of communities, and that, that's on a lot of people's radars.
And it's because if you think about it, it's more of that effort to try and take away local control, just like they wanna take
The gravel.
control for the sand and gravel, they wanna take control for the rental properties, they wanna take control for the solar services, they wanna take control for the foster home stuff, they're trying to weed away the community's ability to make any decisions on its own. So, it's all part of that.
the only other thing I have to say that's only remotely related is I did get to see our former neighbor Neil Sheridan. I gave him a ration full of what he needed to get, keep him in line, but he does a great job, he really does. So, that's all I have.
I think at the training class, one of them said that we can't actually have you as the deputy for me.
It was actually Danielle.
Danielle, said that, yeah,
That I
Danielle.
don't know.
And
Because-
it's one of those where you're probably getting conflicting opinions, cause I think I asked that when I started, and there were no restrictions on it, but I don't wanna take any chance on having any decisions we might make down the road, cause we really haven't done much of that. So we'll leave it vacant for now.
Fine, and to that end, I didn't have an opportunity to go home and bring my notes this evening, timing didn't work out. But there were some interesting things that I'll bring in here and we can all, and I have somebody to make copies about opportunities for people on the board to actually hold other jobs within the township and receive remuneration from it.
Yeah.
Caught me by surprise.
Yeah, there's always some nuances in that, and what I found sometimes is, you can get more than one answer from the MTA, and when you press them on some of it, it's like, well, maybe you are right, Bob, but we kinda thought it should be this way. And the one I think of was, what the heck was that? The chairman of the planning commission can't be the chair of the BZA, and I said, really? It's been that way for 16 years when I was on it. It was that way off for whatever, 15 or 20 years that Jenny was on it. I said, where does it, and when I pressed them, where does it say it? They actually came back and said, well, it doesn't actually say it, but we just don't think you should do it,
They
so.
teach it in the class. They teach it in the class, cause I'm the one that brought that up. And what they said is, well, then that person just can't vote again. If you've already voted once on planning, you cannot vote again, as a
See,
citizen.
so that's the third version.
But does it
But,
say?
oh yeah, no, I
think I
took
remember.
the certification class and
I
it was
remember
like, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
so it's interesting, but yeah, there is a lot of,
No harm in foul, I haven't done anything really with it.
Right.
But I just say that it's interesting, when you press them sometimes, it's like asking a doctor or something, are you sure that's what that means? Well, kinda.
they've already voted once.
Okay. So, thanks, Jim.
Sure.
BZA.
So, we did have a meeting and, yes, the variances, the last 7 variances, well, every single one has been unique to the property. That ordinance really does need to be looked at, as far as, what the individual, hardships are pertaining. and the equitability across the board, to the residents, I think, is really the bigger thing. And I'm gonna use an example of the one that just happened. And that being said, before this last meeting, because this seems to be a hot topic, and we're given a rubric to follow, and I'm following the rubric, and I'm still catching flack because I'm granting some of these. But looking at the buildings that have been put up, that we've allowed, they've done what we've asked them to do, with one exception, and that was, it wasn't an accessory building, actually, it was the berm that was supposed to be put up at the ORV park. We were very specific about that with Oakland County. They got a variance for that, and they did not ever
Yeah,
fulfill
they
that.
asked, but if you remember the discussions with Mike,
Yeah,
he
but,
goes, you know, we really don't have to.
But to give you an example of some of the nuances, I think this is a perfect example, and it's easier for me to explain than 3 times ago where it was this like, I don't even know, parallelogram is not even the right word for what this other, but there's 2 corners, or I'm sorry, a corner lot, you have 2 front yards.
That's pretty standard.
Right, oh yeah, so, but these people, their intent was to put the house on this one street anyhow, but because they're on a corner, where they wanna put their barn is considered their front yard. Even though the Pattison drain runs through it, Consumers has an easement, and they could never, ever access their property from that front yard, ever. So they have to come for a variance for that. And I know Bob didn't like it, but the
Actually, I don't
variance
care, though.
itself, well, no, I'm saying the variance itself kind of set up the hardship, because you've got 2 front yards, so how do we start? Where do we start? How do we look at this? So I'd like to see some,
But you know, even in that one, here's the thing, he said, the utility company won't let me come off of Groveland Road.
Mhm.
I find that exceedingly difficult to believe, because the parcel right next to it has a driveway cut into the piece of property. The house right next to it is across the street from me and comes in off of Groveland Road. It's the same utility corridor. So I think what he thinks is, they have an easement, I can't do anything, you can't build a building, you can get a driveway over it. He also said the Pattison drain comes through there. If you look at the Pattison drain map in here, it starts at Vanderputty's Pond. Okay, what he has is a drain underneath Josman Road that carries the low spot on that side of the road to the low spot on his side of the road, because the road commission puts drains in. If you look, any of the drains around here, the one in front of my house, they're all put in where, before we ever built the road out here, where did God put the water? And my property on my side, on the south side, is higher than the property on the north side. So it comes down from my neighbor behind me, across my back pasture, down across where my barns are, over by my house, down the front lawn and into the ditch. And before Groveland Road was ever there, it went right across the street into Vanderputty's property. I still call it because it's
Right,
used on.
right.
But those drains are that way. I don't believe that culvert under the road has got anything to do with the Pattison drain, other than it just happens to carry the road water under it like it does in any other one. So sometimes when people make statements to you, there's a tendency to say, well, yeah, that sounds reasonable, but
But
you
it's
actually
still
pull the
a-
map out and see where the drain is.
But it's still a county drain, that's still maintained.
But they're all road drains. I mean, we have those all over because people notoriously try and plug them up when they don't like the water coming there and say, I fixed my property, I put a bag of cement in the drain. To which the road commission comes back out and digs it right back out, tells them, that's not your jurisdiction, you can't do it. So I didn't have a problem with the one across the street, because they're leaving 360 feet of woods. I'll never see the house, okay? And if you drove by it on Josman Road, it looks like a Josman Road house with an empty lot next to it.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with it. But on the one before it, that guy didn't make any concessions at all. He didn't even make the building he's sticking in the front like materials.
Yeah,
And
yes.
no, he didn't. He said, I'm putting
Oh,
up a tin barn just like the other one.
He didn't, but he was told that he needed to.
But
Right.
he didn't. And so I say, there's where I think there's some wrong.
Sure.
The 2 members on the far end, I think were right out when they said, it's kind of, it's your self-imposed hardship. And that's where you're gonna find out, otherwise you're going to have, the other thing I take exception with is, one of the board members made a statement like, well, we've done these on some other ones, so we should do it for them. That is like
No, everyone
the
stands
most
on its own.
taboo no you ever wanna say, cause if somebody ever does challenge you in court, they'll take it there and say, people said it was the standard procedure, and you just sunk the township, when they are, as you said, all individual cases. So, we need a training class on BZA exemptions, and when Danielle gets back, we'll find out what we can do for her.
She already sent one out a month or so ago.
I was gonna see if she could get one down here for us, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
Okay,
And the other thing too, I don't know if I will be able to make that meeting, but like, let's just say, people will drive by and they'll see this huge building, and like, I'm gonna use you as an example, your house, but they don't know if that was there before you bought. They don't, you know what I mean, but they're looking at an outbuilding twice the size of the dwelling, how they get away with it. And we aren't given, I don't have to justify, I don't feel like I have to justify.
you don't.
But I also don't wanna blow them off, and we aren't given the information to say, well, that's the address you've given me, so you know what, I have no idea if that was done 5 years before we even had any of this stuff in place. There's not,
So
that's
then
not
your building's in
allowed.
the backyard anyway.
What's that?
No,
your-
is it, no, it's not,
Building's in the backyard,
No,
it's
it's
behind
not.
your house. It's
No.
not in front of it.
it's, yes, it is,
Front yard.
it's a front
Is that
yard.
in the front yard?
We have a
of yours?
variance for it.
Really? I didn't notice that.
So that's what I'm saying, so you get that on top of it, but yeah, anyhow, so I'm working right now, and it's nights, and until I'm not needed anymore, so I am hoping to be able to make it to the meeting.
Well, I don't think it'll be one because Jenny Sevigny is gonna show up to
Good.
that meeting.
Good.
Yeah.
And she spent months
Mhm.
with Pam going over all the old records and what we had approved amount and coming up with the solution that was in there now. So it was not done lightly. There was a
Oh, no.
lot.
Right,
And if there's one thing I'll say about Jenny, she's pretty thorough in what she does.
she is, she is, and that's it, but yeah, I need, and that, when I brought this up, like, when we've talked about the Renaissance Festival, I want ordinances that I can stand behind. I want an ordinance that if I say yes or no, it will uphold what I have said. Period.
Well, if this is not the form, Bob, let us know, but to continue it, a couple of things. I don't know the individual's name, but I call it a mistake on Grange Hall Road on the
Oh.
north side of the road where we have.
Right. That was brought up.
Yeah, and that was brought up in our meeting too, and there was no effort to make the home and the outbuilding, which share nothing but a common piece of siding, as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm.
to look contiguous.
Mhm.
So,
As I said, he thinks it looks beautiful.
yeah,
He made a point of coming
he
in and
also
telling me
thought his
that before I
Confederate
left my
flag looked
office.
beautiful too.
Right, so that's not like materials to anything.
No, it's
No.
not.
So if you have something existing, what are you liking the materials to? Either the existing structure, that's what that should
Yeah,
be.
and one of the things too that I think may go hand in hand when we talk about, let's say, the penalties that was
Mhm.
discussed earlier, is if someone doesn't follow through, regardless, this is out here, regardless of whatever,
Right,
we granted a variance, and the planning commission has enormous authority to say, it's gotta look like the house, or we're not gonna approve it.
You can fix that easy though.
Mhm.
You can simply say, in order to get this variance, you have to post surety, and I'm picking a number out
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
$10,000,
There
if
you
you
go.
don't
Yeah.
build it as we
Yeah, as
specify,
specified.
we're gonna take your $10,000, take your building down.
In fact, I'll tell you a little bit of a story, it's kind of amusing now, but when I applied for the variance, I made it very clear to the planning commission, it will be log sided
Oh, yeah.
and match the
It
house.
looks perfect on your
Right.
house.
And, I was rather passionate about it. Person right behind me didn't match, and my wife, whose name is Liz, said, boy, did you just embarrass that guy? Because he just wanted a pole barn,
Mhm.
same variance. And I'm pretty sure they gave it to him, but those are the things I think that keep the community up, if we can keep it that way.
I agree, but I'm sure Jenny will give you
Yeah.
a great deal of information, because she spent months in here with Pam, going over all the old records before they came up with their recommendation. And if we get the training class, to bring everybody up to the same page. Okay? Good, I didn't wanna cut you off.
Oh, no, I'm good, that's it.
Okay, the only
only thing I think I already told you, the car show, I'll know tomorrow for sure whether or not it's put off, from Saturday, and, I have taken the second iteration of the site condo document, for the tech park to Barry. I'll call him again tomorrow, see if he's had a chance to look at it. We are having a bit of a problem now trying to get the rest of the easement from Tri-City Aggregate. For 2 years that he and I have talked to the guy that runs Tri-City. He said, yeah, it's okay. They said, it's no problem, we'll sign it, no problem. Well, when we took it to him to sign it, the owner's daughter, who's a lawyer, got involved, said, oh no, he's not gonna sign this. And so I don't know if it's going to work, but Barry and I have discussed this. I will fix a way around it if you won't. One way or the other, we'll be able to get in. So that's mostly it. We are going on the 27th of October to the county deal to try and promote the township property. And I got a tickle reminder on my calendar tomorrow to call the economic development people who I sent some information to and ask them to help me put together a good brochure flyer for it. I went to these before. It's kind of loosey-goosey where they talk about what they can do at the county. And then some of us can have a display there if somebody wants to ask about it. It's a mix of real estate people and developers, so whether or not you get anything or not, I don't know, but I told Danielle she could be Vanna White for me that day. And we'll see how it goes, so it can't hurt. It's kind of like chicken soup, you know, we do enough of this stuff. And they are trying to find out how much of the grant money that they got from the state that they can use, and are supposed to be getting me their estimate. I have some idea already, what I think the video we want to develop will cost, but I want to see what they come up with too, so we'll get like the equivalent of about 3 prices on it and see which way we want to go on that. Okay. Anything else from the clerk's office?
Oh, can I ask a follow-up question to the supervisor? So, was there any, is there any, progress with, the other supervisors about that Oakland County equalization
Yeah.
contract?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No, they still haven't signed it as of the last lunch.
Okay.
So I just,
Good.
we ask them at lunch and they go, we're still telling them no. That's all I need to know right now. And the county's not called us.
Okay.
So I'm sure we're just gonna sit there and wait and see what happens. And at some point in time, the county's gonna try and convince us that, we should sign it probably, but, and then we'll have to decide if we wanna look for
Another county.
a county assessor, you know, our own assessor, and split it with somebody or something. But no answer on it yet.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else from?
Right now, just working on election stuff. We've got about a month until the November election. Election commission meeting on Thursday. Traditionally, we have closed the office on election days. I don't know what everyone feels about that, but, it is a school election, so it's both Brandon and Goodrich schools. So we will have people downstairs, and this room will also have our Ada County board. Any thoughts on that as a board?
We usually close it because there's nothing else to do anyway. I mean, you can't get anything done hardly anyway.
That's kind of what I
Other than the
thought.
election
So-
that's going on, everybody's tied up with that.
So I mean, I'm of that same mindset that we can close the office for anything other than election-related purposes, of course. Miss Laura and I have been working on something that will be brought to the next meeting. It is an I voted sticker competition that we would like to take to the schools. So I'm not gonna get into too much detail because honestly, I'd like to have a little bit more answers. But, we have a lot of drafted documentation and we're hoping that we can pull it together so that we can have the stickers for all 3 elections next year.
That's the idea.
So we kind of thought, so anyway, we have to pay for the stickers as it is, so why not make them like homemade, you know, community made? So again, more information on that probably next month. I'm sure you are going to be working on the budget probably in the next few months. Just keep in mind, we will have additional days for voting, so elections will probably.
I normally start on it late in January and then February, don't bother because that's all I do.
Well, I'm putting a little bug in your mind right now because we will have 30 days of voting next year.
And I send out a note to everybody in the office that said, to tell me what projects you want to have brought up at the budget meeting, so we'll get it there.
Perfect. Patty's retirement party is tomorrow,
Yes.
so make sure y'all come and visit, 4 to 7, right in here. Yep, so 4 to 7, we'll have food and some drinks and, not cocktails, but. But we'll, have a little celebration for her, and then also just, as a reminder, I know Bob and Teresa probably already know this, but we will not have power on Thursday between 11:30 and 1:30.
That's right.
They contacted us and told us we will not have any.
Busted.
So, yeah, I think
I
it's
got
kind
that
of
phone
this
call.
little.
Just like a third world country.
So,
When is this?
this Thursday.
This
In the
Thursday.
generator?
I did not know
Oh,
that.
you know what? I didn't think of
Generator
that.
power.
I bet our generator will.
You know what, we weren't sure, they told us that we should turn off all,
Oh, because they're cutting it, but as soon as they cut it, that switch downstairs senses it and turns the generator. Yeah, we'll have power. I
well,
didn't
we
think of that.
probably won't have
You'll have power.
phones and internet. Do we still have that with the generator?
They didn't
We
say,
do.
they just said you.
Well,
will
I
have
guess we'll
power
find
for
out.
2 hours on
Yeah,
Thursday.
I mean, the lights won't go out, the heat won't
Yeah.
go out.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Trying to get a day off.
Yeah, try and get
No,
another day.
listen, I had my election commission meeting Thursday, I wasn't going anywhere. But they did call and tell us that we wouldn't have power, so,
Did they say why? Cause people will call the station and want to know why.
you know what, Angela took the phone call, what did they say when they talked to you?
I still have it,
They-
it was recording from DTE.
Yeah, it was just a recording, and I don't think that they really specified why it was gonna be, just, your power will be out on Thursday, August, or October 12th, for 2 hours, just letting you know.
So, did you,
Can't
there's
imagine
that.
why it would have to be out that long.
It won't be out that long. They just want that time frame to, you know.
Right.
Make sure they get it
switch
spliced, or they must be tying into another alternate feed or something.
Yeah, change the
Yeah.
transformer out or something.
They're hooking up to all the windmills, so be lucky if it comes
If we
back
get more
on.
consistent power, I'm good with it.
Mostly they wanna make sure the marijuana growers know the power will be out, right?
Right,
Take care of your plants.
yeah.
The power went out, what, 5 times?
Speaking of
yesterday?
power,
It was out for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Today.
I'm the same.
It was-
The other day I was out for a few hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably on my grid, cause my mom's on County Line Road.
This whole section and part of
Yeah.
Brandon was out.
Yeah, it was out.
I can hook my crock pot into the generator.
It was, it
You should see me silly going.
was down on, Groveland Road.
Yeah, they said it was a big.
Mine went out
failure.
after I left my house and before I got to Brandon.
So-
I think that was Sunday or Monday.
Okay.
Was it Saturday?
It was
Saturday.
Sunday, 2
Sunday.
o'clock,
Sunday, yeah,
Sunday,
Sunday.
yeah.
for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, no, mine was a lot longer than that.
That's because you got all that room in your basement, where he wants to put Wick.
hey, did anybody here have, I think on the 24th of August, when we had a bad storm with a lot of lightning?
Yes,
We had lightning damage to our house, quite extensive loss. Did anybody else?
my next door neighbor lost all of his electronic equipment,
Oh.
audio visual stuff,
Really?
surges.
Our actual generator
Oh, yeah.
took a hit.
Oh.
And,
Wow, that's bad.
Wow.
It was bad,
Yeah.
but, no, I was just curious. And,
Wow.
we're just now in the process of resolving, I think, the last of the gremlins.
2 years ago, Station 1 got hit and it took out a lot of stuff,
Oh, yeah,
including
radio stuff.
damage to the engines and the ambulance and.
Yeah.
I had lightning
Internet.
in my house twice, but it was a long time ago, and it burned out whatever was on the end of whatever. Once it struck my well and burned out everything on both
See,
ends
that's
of the
what
house and
happened
the
to
barn.
us. We got hit, our well got hit, and it fried the
Fried the
fridge,
well.
the oven, everything, yep,
And
everything went.
then another time it hit my hot shot on the fence,
Okay.
blew it right off the wall of the barn.
It's pretty wild.
Wow.
Okay, I was
Okay.
about that, sorry.
Alrighty, anything else, Teresa?
Was
Oh,
Janelle
I'm sorry,
done?
were you done?
That was all I had.
Okay, so treasurer's report, I'll keep it simple. Number one, summer taxes are, probably 95% collected. And I do wanted to give a big shout out, thank you, to my deputy Angela Grogan, because she's meticulous about her work and she has done a fantastic job, you know, with, she just does a really, really good job. And she updates the bsaonline.com, weekly so that our residents can look and see, you know, if they wanna look there, cause they don't get a tax bill or whatever. So that's number one. I just wanted to shout out to Angela and let her know I appreciate her and all she does to support me. Another second thing was, last Thursday, the Oakland County Treasurers Association, or OCTA, had a quarterly meeting in which we had speakers from different banks, credit unions, and government investment pools that were speaking on different financial topics, including fraud prevention and best practices, investment strategies, CDs, treasury bills, et cetera, et cetera. It was a roundtable discussion over lunch and very, very informative. Like, we had to cut it off after, you know, a certain amount of time, but we could have easily talked for a lot longer. The big thing that the banks are really pushing is this idea that check fraud is extremely on the rise, right? And so we do have some things in place here already to hopefully try to prevent check fraud, but there are things that are new products, new tools available because of all of this, and it's, you know, technology driven and so on, with hackers, and honestly, this year, we had at least 3 different residents who, it wasn't their fault, but their checks would not, the banks would not cash their checks because someone hacked into their account. And so, you know, they had the funds, but I find out 3-4 days after depositing the checks that, you know, so-and-so's check didn't clear.
Were they able to get money out of their accounts?
Well, then I have to have a conversation with the bank, and they tell me the reason. It was not for insufficient funds, it was for
A lot.
their bank froze their account because someone was hacking into it.
I'm asking, did the resident lose any money, or did they catch it in time?
I don't know the answer to that on the resident side, but I do know that, you know, the township was not charged any fees like an insufficient funds fee or anything like that. And I was able to then try to contact the resident either through a phone call, because we ask for a phone number now on the tax coupon, you know, or through a letter or whatever. And those residents were, you know, surprised. Really? You know, I mean, they were surprised, maybe not, I might not have been the first one that told them, maybe, but they didn't realize how many things were affected or whatever. So the point was that check fraud is on the rise, and there are tools newer tools that are available. Positive Pay is one of them, and you know, banks have Positive Pay at different levels. We already are using some, you know, we are using some of the tools, but it really was an eye-opener about some of the other things that are now available. And one of the things, and I mentioned it to Janelle, was, you know, if we can reduce the number of checks we actually write and mail out to people, that in and of itself would be a step in the right direction. And so, you know, there are some other options out there. I'm gonna start looking into it, and if I think I need to bring something to the board, policy change or
You mean
anything like
an
that.
auto pay like you do on your
Yeah.
personal checks? And
Things like that. I mean, I don't wanna give access to anybody to
No.
start reaching in and ACHing things out of our account, but I think that if they wanna ACH things into them, perfect, right? But I do need to look into these things, and just for safety, for security, but that was something that, you know, I was even talking to Scott Broughton from, Brandon, and he and I were both like, you know, he's like, well, they sure, you know, put the fear of, you know, the fear of possible fraud into each and every person out there. Like, if you're thinking you're covered, you better look again at all your coverage. And so I just wanted to let you know and give you a heads up that I'll be looking at some things, and I'll keep you informed along the way.
You
And
know, it's
then-
interesting, if you have something like at Chase on my checking account, I put a limit of 1 penny.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Every time one of my bills comes in for auto pay, I get a text message right after I buy something on eBay. It shows up there like 5 seconds later. And that's the easiest way, I think, to keep from getting fraud hitting you.
Especially for these recurring charges that are the same thing all the time.
Yeah, but I
Right.
still get a notice every
Right.
month for the bills.
Yeah,
Well, evidently there's new things that people who are committing the fraud are doing.
I'm sure.
Right, and according to, one of the gals from Chase Bank, it was on the Channel 7 Action News, how to commit check fraud,
Oh,
right? Like, be alert, because these are things that are happening. Thieves are taking this and doing this, and, you know, she's like, I couldn't believe it. They just taught everybody how to do check fraud, right? So, as if people need to be given ideas, right? But, at any rate, I do have things already in place, but it made me realize I need to go back again and just take a look again at, you know, what's going on right now. And then, the reason I asked you that about the equalization contract is, and I know you saw this as well, but, Bob and I plan to actually, we talked about this, attend virtually, on Monday, October 23rd, there is a virtual meeting, going over, Michigan Tax Tribunal, and, it's being led by Michael Lohmeyer, the Oakland County's head of assessing, their head assessor. He's going to be, teaching this session on, it's more than just the Michigan Tax Tribunal, but I didn't bring the flyer with me, but it's, you know,
Is that
about,
tomorrow?
no, it's on the 23rd.
I
It's,
think it's a Monday.
it's 2 weeks from yesterday. So that's like in the afternoon sometime, so you don't even have to register, it's just they sent out the Zoom link to it. So Bob and I are gonna watch that, and I thought, well, you know what, we can maybe pick up on some pointers about, you know, things that might help with figuring out what we wanna do about that, equalization contract as well.
They did say in Orion they were making some progress on some of it, but they hadn't signed it yet.
Okay. So those were my items.
Okay, well, at this point, I'll open it to public
I
comment.
think just real quick before you jump into that, and I know that everybody's really excited to get to the fire report, but I think, Teresa has eaten a little bit too much humble pie over there. Didn't something else happen yesterday at your meeting?
Where's the bus?
Well, the meeting was
Teresa,
Thursday.
or Thursday, sorry. You want me to share?
Yes, you may as well.
Teresa is now the president of OCTA.
Oh,
I
congratulations.
was voted in,
Cool.
I was voted in, but the term doesn't start until January 1st.
Oh,
So the current, I'm currently the secretary, because that's what the minute taker.
So January, the
Yeah.
crown.
Yeah.
So, yes, evidently, January 1st, we move up. There's 2 people leaving the board, and then 2 new people came, volunteered to come on, and then 4 of us remaining, you know. Well,
I
thank you.
know, I should be very proud of her. Yeah,
President.
absolutely, I think so. All right, now you can
okay.
move
Now,
along,
do
but
we
I
have-
thought that was
I'll-
important
I'll
that
move to the
everybody-
last item on the agenda, public comment. Is there anyone in the huge audience out there that wants to make public comment? If seeing none, we'll, make a motion to adjourn and reconvene for the fire board. Is there a second to that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Kevin, the meeting's yours.
Okay, thank you. We ended up with 93 calls for September, and currently we're at 34 calls for this month, so we're on track for 100 calls right now. I'd like to recommend hiring Austin West. He's a student with Tammy at Star, and he's EMT, and he's taking his paramedic license. Or preparing to take his paramedic
But
license.
he's already an EMT.
He's already an EMT, and he's got a lot of experience working with Star. He does not have fire, and he lives in Grand Blanc, but I'd like to hire him, and we'll send him to fire school as soon as he finishes his medic program. So I'd like a recommendation to hire him.
I support hiring Austin West, EMT paramedic student from Grand Blanc as a fill-in.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Laura, if you take roll call.
I did all this talking without you, Laura.
Okay, Keller,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
De Palma.
Yes.
Thank you. Engine one, we sent that in to have the brakes repaired. Basically, everyone started complaining, like, it doesn't really wanna stop anymore. So,
I had a car like that this morning I had to take in.
so we called Jam Best on Hill Road in, wherever,
I'm blind.
Grand Blanc area, and they said, oh, it's gonna cost about $2,000. Well, they called yesterday and said that the rear calipers are shot and can't repair them, so I think they said the left caliper's $2,400, the right one's $2,600. So that the new estimate's around $8,500, so I'd like to get approval for spending about $9,000 on fixing engine one. We really don't have a choice, but
Yeah, okay, I make a motion that we approve up to $9,000 for repairing engine one's brakes.
Second.
Gina, okay. Any other questions or comments for the board? Or if you take a roll call. I would like to see the older one, they take it off, cause I gotta see what a $2,400 brake caliper.
it's like this. It looks just like every other caliper except larger.
Okay, Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
DePalma.
Yes, okay.
I'm gonna skip number 6 and then go to 7,483. We sent it in for some warranty work. The air conditioner in the back, as soon as you stepped on the gas, it went to heat. So, they fixed
People pay
that.
extra for this feature.
Yeah. It's not so bad in wintertime, in summertime it doesn't work so good, but, and then the key fobs had serviced the keyless ignition system. So they've called and that's ready, so Captain Williams might pick that up this weekend.
That's under warranty.
It was under warranty, yeah.
Is this is our new, ambulance?
Yes, one of the new ones, yeah. And, ladder 1, we called again today, we don't have an update. They sent the cylinders out to be worked on. Apparently there's a big backlog on cylinder repairs, so he couldn't give us an update on when that's gonna be available. Stacy wanted me to bring up CPR classes. We're willing to do them every month. We've only given, I think, one class. We had like 2 people show up for that. So, but we do give classes. We give it to ourselves quarterly, so we want to remind everybody that that is available.
Kevin, how is that advertised?
We have it up here, and I think it was on the website too.
Facebook.
Yeah, in
If you
Facebook.
want, we can have it put on the sign too.
That'd be
if you wanna
great.
do one.
Yeah.
CPR classes,
Certainly.
sign up at the township, and
Yeah, tell me when you want it on there, and I'll just have Benny do it when he comes in next time.
and I think the incident breakdown sheet was self-explanatory. And Stacy's worked very diligently on collecting up the fees that we and our neighboring communities charge. And if you look at this report here, the first column is what we currently charge, second column is what Star currently charges. You got NOCFA non-resident, Springfield, and Holly. Star just recently, how was that, 3 months ago? Raised their rates. So I'd like to raise our rates to match theirs. And then Bob and I talked briefly about some of the other things that we can charge for. So this is basically a synopsis of what we have. Now the stuff in, let's call it bronze, those we added when we were doing transports. We'd like to just eliminate them. The blue is for cost recoveries. And you can see that, you know, Star doesn't do anything like that, but you can compare ours to NOCFA's. They have some things they charge for that the insurance company says, no, I think that's illegal, but. So we kind of like the blue stuff, over here on the yellow, I'm jumping around here. On the yellow on the right hand side is what we recommend changing it to for resident and non-resident. And
I thought we can't charge a different rate for non-resident.
that's part of the question is, can you charge a different rate for the non-resident? So
For the fire cost recovery, when I talked to Kim, you can. The ambulance transport, the Medicare insurance payments, they're flat rate. You can't charge difference between resident and non-resident.
Oh, okay,
But
but
the
for
cost of
fire
recovery, you
response
can.
stuff, you can't. Okay, out just curiosity, do you have a feel for how much adopting these new charges would add to your?
No, because it's, depends on what the insurance company's still gonna pay. You can charge whatever you want, it's what they
Well, I mean,
pay.
or even how much it would bill.
So let's say it would probably be a 10 to 15% increase, probably.
Okay, well, up is better than down.
So if you can see, the very first one was ALS 2. We charge $750, Star charges $1050. But the only times we could actually charge that rate, Stacy and I talked about, we think is when we do CPR with somebody, because the requirements are you have to give 3 different drugs, at least 1 milliliter each, and it was very restrictive. And so that probably very rarely be used, but you can see we're going from 600 for an ALS emergent to 950. So that's, $350 more per transport, but again, it depends on what they're willing to, the insurance company's willing to pay.
Well, on an insurance company, other than Medicare, they pretty much have to pay what we bill them, don't they?
No,
No, they don't.
not at
And
all.
if you want to raise the rates so that they actually will start to pay a little bit
Yeah.
more, because they actually do a survey of the area's charges and pay you 40% of whatever
Yeah.
that
It's
is.
just like going to the hospital,
If you're lucky.
Your bill is 66,000, insurance says they'll pay 36,000, so it's like that, but. And then on the cost recoveries, lots of times, they just refuse to pay them. We did figure out if we put down that we clean up the road, they tend to pay it more often.
Okay.
Which is something we've always done, we've just never, filled out the paperwork.
It blows my mind how you can have an emergency response service, send somebody out, and then they could say, well, I think you charge too much.
If you think about it, does the insurance company pay the record guy any less than what they charge?
I don't think so.
No, they pay him what they're charged, so
I know Brett said he had to pay, have his car towed there, he said he knew what the rates were.
And if you have your car towed to Brad's house, you have to pay them right then.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll call it AAA and get it. No, you gotta pay them.
Yeah, he did. So, I mean, I don't understand how they could say this is an emergency situation, and now that you've provided the service, I don't know if it was $1,000 that we should pay for you to pick that guy up. Would you prefer you have a call-in number where we can ask you if you actually want him picked up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see,
As far as I know, that's the way it's always been, and everyone is under the same
well, but at
situation.
least if we're billing more, we
It's
should.
no different than the doctor's office or a hospital or anywhere else. It's all Medicare, Medicaid, all your insurance companies have set prices that they're gonna pay. Doesn't matter what you charge them.
But
this
even
is
then,
what
when
they're
you go
gonna
to a
pay.
doctor, he has to decide initially at the doctor's office, do I accept your United Healthcare Plan
Right.
B or whatever it
Which
is,
binds him to those
And that,
lower
and that
rates.
tells me he knows what he's gonna get for it, and he's agreed to that, right?
Mhm.
And so it's not like I can go and say, well, I know they said they'd pay you $100, but I'm only gonna give you 50. I can't do that.
So I don't know if we need a resolution for changing the
Well,
rates.
let's do it anyway, just to be safe.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
I think last time we did it, we did a resolution to change the rates, but
A motion.
motion's fine.
To approve the charges as submitted.
So we're approving what's in the yellow
Yellow
box?
box.
So just out of curiosity, so for non-resident fire, this would be like mutual aid?
No.
Or
No, that non-resident,
Let's say a car
Is-
fire.
a car fire? That's where I'm like, well, a resident,
but
if they
this
have
one
their
here that
house fire.
says non-resident here, that's for NACFA non-resident. And I think what he's doing is against the law.
On the yellow side?
Right, no, I do remember you
Yeah.
telling me about that. No, I was more just trying to wrap around my head,
Like your PI accidents, so if you have a
Like a
Groveland
car
Township
fire.
resident versus,
Oh, that's where you said, yeah, you can
White
do it.
Lake
Fire
Township
response.
resident,
Yeah.
Okay. So very unlikely that somebody's gonna be driving through with their house that lights on fire.
Yeah.
Non-resident, sorry buddy, you picked the wrong place.
Depend if there's a big flood or not.
You never know.
I mean, we laugh, but we had a tractor trailer on fire just the other day.
Yeah?
We had to send a
Is
tanker
that
out.
what that was?
Yeah. So it's, there's always, you think, oh, that'll never happen, then we have 6 fire departments on 75 putting out a brush fire on the road, I mean.
Yeah.
Say, take it down the road, I hear they got a better rate.
No, that's okay, I just wanted to make sure, that's what I was trying to figure out, the resident for the fire. So no, a motion would be fine. Did you have?
So you wanna make this effective immediately?
Who made the motion?
All right, I'll make a motion that we, increase the rates as indicated on the chart provided by the fire department for the specific charges that, our firefighters, provide, and that we authorize, our ambulance billing company to, bill these rates, effective immediately.
Second.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Would you take a roll call on that, Laura?
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Keller. Yes. Bill.
Yes.
If you remember correctly, we updated this, I think it was either 4 or 5 years ago, right after I became chief, we updated these right around the same time.
Well, this is good. This is just money that I view as sitting on the table there.
And it's funny how the differences between the departments and the things that they charge for is like, through the mutual aid agreement, the agreement was basically that you don't charge the other departments for, your services, but I have received, hey, here's our bill for that,
Water.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, we're not paying that. So,
You can come over, we got a hydrant, you can get all the water you want off of it, right?
So, I mean, it's funny how some places are doing it.
Just a, logistics question. How will Kim get this chart? Will you provide it to Kim?
Yeah, we can.
If you have the chart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, this is good, chief.
And we work with, Stacy worked with them down there, but to get the rates and things like that. Too.
Yeah, Kim called.
I can take it out of that spreadsheet and simplify it and say this is what we wanna change it to, cause I think it's in our ordinances too.
I think you're right.
That Danielle gave me a copy of a couple months ago,
Okay.
that we'll need to update that too.
Would you copy me on the email to Kim about raising the rates, please? Thank you.
If there's no questions, I did have a enjoyable 4 or 5 days off. We went up to the UP and,
Bear hunting?
no, we just took the Beastmaster off-road and, drove all over the place, went up to Copper Harbor and came back and,
In 5 days, you went all the way up to Copper Harbor and then hung out and then drove all the way back?
we just drove the whole time basically.
Oh my gosh.
And, we saw a lot of things, got a flat tire and
Oh no.
was able to fix it with everything in the truck, so.
A full service garage back there, right?
Exactly.
You had everything you needed.
And,
Tire breakdown machine, the whole thing.
everyone on the internet was impressed with that fact. And, so we had a good trip, and I told everybody before we left that if the land didn't come back with me, there was an alien abduction, but she survived the trip, so no one has to go look for her anywhere. You're gonna delete that, right?
MacGyver?
Okay. Anything else, chief?
Any questions?
No, this is good.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'll wait first the public comment.
I thought you had said.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you had.
No, that was just because you public comment.
Oh.
So, seeing none, you made a motion to
I'll make a
adjourn.
motion that we adjourn.
Jenna seconded it.
Jim.
Oh,
Jim
Jim
did.
seconded, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, we're done. Thank you, everybody.